I just got back from a trip to California, and I can't wait to share what I learned on this trip. You're listening to the Master Your Lens podcast, episode 121.
Hey, John Lee Dumas here, the founder and host of EO Fire, and welcome to the Master Your Lens podcast, the photography podcast dedicated to sharing inspiring stories, technical tips, and powerful secrets to help you become a better photographer. And now, your host, Matthew Jordan Smith.
Hello, Photography Nation. I hope you are having a great day. I'm now back in Tokyo, but I spent about 4 days in California doing a photography workshop and then doing a free speaking event the day after. Now, normally when I go to California, it's usually to LA, to Los Angeles. But this time, I was in Orange County, which is really not that far, well, in terms of distance, from Los Angeles. But in California, it's never about the distance. It's about the traffic it takes to get that distance. And even though Orange County is somewhat close to Los Angeles, it can feel like it's a long way away simply because of the traffic in Southern California. I used to live there, and one of the main reasons why I left is the traffic. Now, I'm still back there often, sometimes to shoot, sometimes to speak, sometimes just to have meetings. But whenever I go back, everything is scheduled around traffic. Now, that may sound weird to you unless you live in Southern California. But regardless of the traffic, the best weather in the world can be found in Southern California. I know you've heard that song, "It Never Rains in California." Well, that seems true. And while I was out there, it didn't rain, but it's June. And in Southern California, you get what they call June gloom, which basically means it's overcast. Whenever it's overcast, I'm always looking at the quality of light. June in Japan, it's the rainy season, and there are a lot of overcast, gloomy days as well. And what was funny about this trip in June was going to one overcast area to another overcast area and seeing the difference. The light was very different. You see, in Tokyo, it's overcast because of rain, thick layers of clouds diffusing that beautiful light. And some may think that if it's overcast, that light is the same, but it's not. In photography, we have to always train our eye to see the subtle, small differences. It's hard to see light change on an overcast day because the diffusion, the clouds, can change from being a thin layer of clouds to being a very thick layer of clouds, and of course in between. And all of that changes the light and the light quality. It's the same thing if you are working with a softbox. The type of diffusion in your brand of softbox, the layers of diffusion in your softbox changes the look, also the shape of the softbox. But let's go one step further with this. Also, the distance of your softbox changes the look of the light. So you see, not all overcast light is the same. The same way it's not the same in your softbox. Now, I said 1 minute ago that the light was different in Tokyo when it was overcast versus the light being overcast in Los Angeles. Well, Southern California. And it is. You see, in June, there's June gloom. And June gloom starts in the morning. It's overcast for the first part of the day, and then it burns off. And you're back to normal Southern California days, blue sky. But from sunrise till around 12 or 1, you have this June gloom, this layer of clouds coming off the ocean, and it just sits there. And for some reason, in June, it comes like clockwork. But looking at that light and having that direct comparison, getting off the plane from Tokyo, coming into Southern California, and seeing that light, it is very different. I guess that June gloom layer is a very different type of layer, and it burns off slowly, which means the light is changing slowly. As you go about your day, train your eye to see this subtle change. So this trip to California was all about doing a workshop and then doing a free speaking event. The speaking event was sponsored by Nikon. Well, it was in the United States, so I should say Nikon. It was sponsored by Nikon along with PPOC, the Professional Photographers of Orange County. We did a workshop which took place on Sunday, June 15th, Father's Day. And we had a nice group. Now, to be honest, I was kind of surprised because it was Father's Day. But what a great gift to give to a father who's into photography. We had a nice group of men and women who came out to this workshop. The workshop was scheduled from 9 to 4. But I got a little carried away and we went 2 hours over. You see, when you're doing what you love, time flies by. And the funny thing is, no one wanted to stop. We had a fantastic time. It was an intense workshop. We did a lot. We went over several different ways to light. But on this workshop, I did something different. Normally, I'm showing how to do something. In this case, how to light. I'll show how to set up a light situation and get a perfect image. This time, I want to do it differently. I believe you really learn by seeing and doing. But sometimes even that isn't enough. In this workshop, there were many different types of cameras. Some had Nikons, some had Canon, some had Sony, some had Fuji, you name it, we had it there in the class. Now, when doing workshops, I always try to make sure everyone in the class is shooting exactly the same way, the same f-stop, same ISO. This can be a little tricky because, again, everybody has different cameras, different lenses. I want to make sure we're all at the same f-stop, but because everyone has a different lens, some may be faster than others, we'll set our aperture so everyone will be able to shoot. For example, my favorite lenses are very fast lenses, 1.4, but not everyone has a lens that's 1.4. Someone may have a lens that's only f4. In that case, I'll make sure that our aperture is at least f4 so everyone can participate in the workshop without a problem. In this class, we found out that if we set our ISO to 200, it would accommodate every camera in the room. Also, as long as we were shooting at f4 and no wider than that, everyone in the class would be able to shoot. Now, in the past, I've showed people how to set up a light situation and get an image. I still think that's fine to show a lighting situation, show the image, and then let everyone in the room shoot. But what I found out is once people leave the workshop, they go home. They go to their own studios, or they go to their garage or their in-home studio or wherever and try to do what they learned in class. Very often, they can't get it exactly the same. The reason for that is I'm giving them all the information and they're not learning how to fix problems. So for this workshop, I want to set up a situation where it wasn't quite right, have them shoot that, and then show them how to fix the problem to get it exactly right. This way, when they leave, they can learn what can be a problem in terms of lighting and learn how to fix it. Learn problem solving. I think this is very important because normally when a person has a problem, they will try to fix it by doing drastic changes. For example, let's say we set up a lighting situation. You have an idea how you want the light to look. You take your picture, you look on the back of your camera, and you don't like your results. I've watched people do a drastic change trying to fix the problem. Then take another picture, look at the back of the camera, and find out the problem has gotten worse. Then begin this process of doing more changes, taking another picture, looking at the back of the camera again, making another big change, taking another picture. You get the idea. Big changes lead to big problems. Very often, the way to fix a problem is making a small change. Small changes give you big results. In my workshop, we set up a lighting situation using one softbox. Now, we were doing non-traditional lighting, as this class was meant to be more intense and not simply a beginner lighting workshop. We were going to use one light box to make a silhouette. I set up the light, gave them all the tools, and had each person take a picture. Before we began taking pictures, I went through the process of sharing what I wanted the picture to look like, gave them the tools, set up the light, and let everyone shoot. Now here's the kicker. I set up the shot so it was slightly off, and then asked everyone in the class to fix it. It was very interesting to see people going through the process of problem solving. In photography, we're doing this all the time. We're solving problems. So little by little, we went and fixed the problem. We used a light meter. We measured the light. We found out where the light was. We found out where the light wasn't. And this is one big reason why I love using a light meter. You can find out exactly where the light is and where it starts to fall off. This is important information when you are trying to make beautiful, beautiful images outside of the norm. And this workshop was an advanced lighting class. After watching people trying to fix the problem, we went in and made small changes. Now, in the very beginning of the shot, we used a light meter. So in terms of the exposure, we had the right exposure. But for this particular shot, we were using flags and V-flats. And we needed to know not only the exposure, but how the light fell off. Now, we had several black flags, large, medium, and small. And each one will change how the light falls off. And the only way to measure that is by using a light meter. We found out by doing small changes, we can take a bad shot and turn it into a spectacular shot simply by doing small changes. The wonderful thing about this, when you have a problem, instead of just changing all of your settings in a big way, you stop and ask yourself, what's causing this problem? And then you go about fixing that problem. Now, for the very first shot, we did a meter reading. The meter told us f8 at ISO 200 at a shutter speed of 1/125th of a second. Meters don't lie. We had the right exposure information. The meter gave us all the information we needed to make a spectacular shot. We then had to go in and interpret that information and do small little changes to make it spectacular. At the end of the day, the exposure was correct. However, the fall off of the light was wrong. So how we changed it, how we fixed it, was changing our black flag to the correct size that gave us the fall off that we needed. That was it. Now, I know this is a podcast and you can't see any images, but you can see things on YouTube. And today, I'd like to invite you to check out my YouTube channel under Matthew Jordan Smith Photography. As of this year, I'll be doing a lot more stuff on YouTube. And again, my channel is Matthew Jordan Smith Photography on YouTube. Now let's get back to the problem. When it comes to lighting and fixing a problem, it's essential to have a light meter. A light meter is going to give you a normal exposure. It's going to tell you where the light is. It's going to tell you where the light falls off. You also need to have a great camera and great lenses. In this advanced lighting workshop, people saw firsthand the difference in having a great camera. With my Nikon system, it allows me to do some really great things like rear curtain sync. In a normal sync situation, the flash fires first. You don't need to set that up. Your camera does that automatically. It's always front curtain sync when a strobe is attached to your camera. But when you're doing more advanced lighting, having the ability to delay that sync and have it shoot at the end of the exposure, a rear curtain sync, is a great advantage. And during the workshop, we discovered that many people could not set their cameras to do that, which was surprising for me to see that. So we had to do a workaround. That's one thing that people saw by having great cameras makes a big difference. We also found out that not all lenses are created equal. We were all shooting in exactly the same situation, but not everybody had the same results. And we found out because of the coating on the lenses. People who had great lenses had no problem, but those who had less expensive lenses were having a problem, and it was because of the coating on those lenses. When making your investments in photography, definitely make sure you invest in great glass. Great glass makes a difference. I know there are other lenses out there that may fit on your camera body, but the lenses made by your camera manufacturer sometimes are much better than other lenses. Not all the time, but very often. This is why I always shoot with Nikkor lenses. They are engineered to work great with a Nikon body. I know you can get other glass that may be a little cheaper, but make sure you do your homework before investing in a lens that's outside of your camera's manufacturer. There are some good ones out there, but you've got to do your homework first. Don't buy that lens simply based on price. And when it comes to fixing any problem you have with your lights, start with a very small change. To solve your problem, it could be as simple as moving a light by 1 inch or moving a black flag by 1 inch or tweaking your exposure by 1/3. These are all very small changes, but those small changes can lead to big results. Use a light meter. A light meter will always give you the information you need to make an incredible picture. For advanced lighting, you need to learn how to also interpret those readings. Today, we live in a world where we believe our camera can do anything and everything, and cameras are getting better and smarter, but they will never be able to think. That's why there are workshops. That's why there are photography classes to teach you to go beyond the norm, to teach you to go beyond just putting your camera on program. For advanced photography, you will always have to learn how to think to create your special pictures. You learn all of this by getting in the trenches and testing. This coming weekend, I have an idea I want to do. I can see the picture in my mind, but I'm not sure if it's really going to work in reality. So I'm going to go in the studio and test my theory first. Before I bring in my team, hair, makeup, models, I want to make sure that my idea works first. I actually love having the time to test an idea, to work it out. When it's just you with your camera, your lights, your gear, in studio or on location or wherever you're shooting, to test out your theory and then see what you need to do to tweak it and make it work. Do yourself a favor. Test. Learn how to tweak your lights. Tweak your gear by making small changes. You'll be surprised how these small changes can give you big results. It's really hard to believe how fast a year goes by. Last year this time, I opened up a special training, one-on-one training. Can you believe it? It's been a year. This was outside of my private course because I know there are many people out there who want individual attention, individual training. So last year, in June of 2018, I opened up 10 spaces for private one-on-one training. What blew me away was in less than 48 hours, all 10 slots were taken. Well, now that first year has come to an end. Out of those 10 students, 3 dropped out, but 7 students made it to the very end and have seen their results. And because of those results, 5 of them have asked to keep going. It's wonderful when you can see your photography change right in front of your eyes and have a mentor who's there to help you along the way. A mentor to push you, to look at your work, analyze it, and push you to get better. Well, we now have 5 slots open for one-on-one training. The commitment is 1 year. It's you and I working together for 1 year for individual one-on-one training. Now, for this one-on-one training, we meet twice a month online. These sessions are molded to fit you, your lifestyle, and your photography. It's personal, just for you. Maybe you have plans to do a book, or maybe you're working on your first big photo exhibit, or maybe you have another type of project in mind, or just want individual training. This is as close to me holding your hand and teaching you step by step as it gets. One-on-one training is here for you. We meet twice a month. We'll meet online via a private link. You'll be able to see me. I will be able to see you. This way, we can do work together. We can do tests together. You'll be able to record every session so you can go back and refresh at any time. You will have assignments from time to time. You will have sessions where we will do tests together. You will have sessions where we critique your work very often. This is a 1-year commitment. For 1 year, we will work together in one-on-one training. If this sounds like it's something you'd like to take, send me an email to info@MatthewJordansmith.com. If you'd like to sign up for private one-on-one training, one-on-one mentoring, send me an email to info@MatthewJordansmith.com. There are only 5 slots available. Last year, all 10 vanished in less than 48 hours. For more information and to sign up, send me an email at info@MatthewJordansmith.com. You'll start your training with a 1-hour interview. The interview does not count as one of your sessions. It's just for us to get to know each other, for me to get to know where you are in your photography. Then our sessions begin. Everything is kept confidential. It's between you and I. We will work together for 1 year, and I will push you to be the best photographer you can be. Again, for more information, simply send me an email at info@MatthewJordansmith.com. Make sure you put 2 T's in Matthew, MatthewJordansmith.com. info@MatthewJordansmith.com. All right, Photography Nation, That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Master Your Lens podcast. Get out there and keep shooting, keep testing, and make those small changes to give you big results. You'll be very happy that you did. Have a great rest of your week. Always dream big. Bye for now.